Hi, welcome to Southend Connect. We're coming to you live from the Ark Lodge right here in Columbia City. I'm Phyllis Porter, and I'm co-host of Southend Connect, and we're here every other week to bring you different people within the community who are making a difference in the community and making changes.
Right on. You know, and Southend Connect Live is connected appropriately to southendconnect.org, which is a website where we build support for Southeast Seattle small businesses and introduce you to organizations and people making a difference in our community. And so I just want to encourage you to go to southendconnect.org. Check it out. We're in a beta phase, and we are just rolling this out and offering it up to people to look at and, you know, like give us some feedback. There's some feedback mechanisms on there. What you like, what you don't like. Is it confusing? Does it make sense? Whatever you think, you know, you don't like the colors, whatever. If you go to southendconnect.org, help us with that, because we're going to get ready to launch that later in the fall. And, you know, with that, Phyllis, tell us what we're doing tonight.
Oh, sure. This week, we have a great conversation that's lined up with Doc Wilson. He is the co-founder of Peace Peloton. So later on in the show, he's going to come on and talk to us and tell us how it began, what motivated him to do it. So just listen in. Doc was really nice enough to come on and talk with us this week. So Phil and I both had the opportunity to sit down with him and just talk a little bit. So we want to share that with you this evening.
Yeah, and this really is in Phyllis's wheelhouse, because it's all about biking. And if you don't know Phyllis, man, she's a huge advocate of biking and transportation in the community. So really had a great conversation that Phyllis led. You know, and also want to talk about the Ark Lodge and some news that's happening with the Ark Lodge, where we're at right now, as you can see from our backdrop. You know, like the rest of Main Street, small businesses are really being challenged during this time of COVID. Mm-hmm. And a lot of what the Ark Lodge is facing is what a lot of small businesses are facing. And really small businesses, and especially disadvantaged communities and communities of color, are the ones being hit hardest during this whole time. And so, as if the issues of COVID and closing down and social distancing and wearing masks and the effects that those regulations have had on small businesses, on especially theaters, wasn't bad enough, we've got news today that this building that we're in, the Ark Lodge building that we're in, is on the market for sale. Okay. And so the future of the Ark Lodge is I don't know what it is. You know, we don't know quite sure where all that is headed, but we're in some challenging times, and we are really working hard to come up with some great solutions and ideas for how to keep the theater, this movie house, operating, so that when the pandemic is done, we have the Ark Lodge, and Southend has a movie house that can open and we all can get together in. So later on, we're going to ask David to come up and talk about a little bit more about that. But we just happen to have City Council member Tammy Morales come and visit us. Yes. And visit this place, and some other folks, and take a look at the place, tour and everything. And there's a little short clip of her talking with Phyllis that I just happened to take out my iPhone and just like shot something really quick. So it's a little rough, but the heart's in the right place. So if you can go ahead and play that. Go.
What brings you to Columbia City today?
Well, today we are here talking with David about what we can do to save the Ark Lodge. We understand that the owners are interested in putting the building up for sale. Should I be looking at you?
Either way, I'm good.
And so we want to make sure that we're preserving this space for the community, because it's a really important asset. I bring my family here, brought my family here all the time. Okay. And so we want to make sure that we're preserving this space for community.
That's great. You know, we talked to David earlier, and he told us about you were one of the regulars, how you'd come down and you brought your kids. So being with that, how significant is this building here in the community?
It's critical. I mean, it's sort of the gateway into Columbia City if you're coming from downtown. And just the vibe when you're in here, you know, there's always young people who are working from the neighborhood, who are working the concession stand, working the ticket stand. So it's a really important community gathering space. When we're here, we always see neighbors. My kids always see their friends in the line. So it's a really special place. And the building itself is historic and beautiful. And you know, we really love having a spot like this in the neighborhood.
We really appreciate you coming down today, and we hope that we can actually save it.
Yes.
And just to let everybody know, what's your connection here in the South End?
Well, I live here. My kids are in public school here, and I represent District 2 on the Seattle City Council.
That's
Well,
awesome.
that's awesome, Tammy.
Do you have like a favorite movie memory here?
I saw Coco here.
Coco.
I brought my kids here to see Coco, and you know, I'm from Texas. My family's Mexican, so it was a really special way for me to help them connect to their community and their heritage, and to really remind them of that side of our family. So
That's awesome. Thank
Well,
you.
thanks a lot, Tammy. We appreciate it.
yeah, good to see you.
It's good to
Thank
see
you
you.
so much.
No, thanks for doing, you know, for being here serious.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so that was a really great clip. It was great to have, you know, Tammy literally in the house and talking with Phyllis and everything. But I do want to tell you that right now we have already started raising some support towards the theater. And as you can see, we've got like these great T-shirts designed by local Columbia City artist Nick Gucker. And so that T-shirt, I tell you, I think that's going to become a collector's item, Phyllis. I think when we look back on that, we're going to go like, yeah, I got this T-shirt, and it's representative of the community coming together to work together. Yeah.
And also during a strange time, you know, the pandemic was going on, you know, the thing with the police department, everything was going on at this time, so it's going to be a pretty big symbol, I believe.
Yeah, it's going to be like, hey, we made this, we made it through together. So those T-shirts are on sale at arklodgecinemas.com. And if you go to that website, you can order as many T-shirts you want. These things are going really fast. They sold out their first set of 500. So get in there, really check it out, and get your T-shirt. So later on, David McCrae is going to come talk some more about the Ark Lodge. But Phyllis got a question of the week.
Well, before I get to that, can you and I get a T-shirt?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You bet.
Let's make sure we get one tonight.
All right, we'll get one tonight.
Okay. Oh, well, thanks for that, Phil.
Yeah.
Each week, Phil and I, you know, we sit down and we pose a question. We want to know how things have been going through the week in different areas. So this week, the question I'm posing to Phil and to the audience is, you know, it's been really busy. A lot of stuff is going on right now. Where do you go in the 98118? Where do you go in this area where you can meditate or you can rejuvenate, a place of solitude? Phil, why don't you tell me, do you have a special place?
Yeah, and these are, there's this place, and I haven't been there for a while, but when I do ride my bike, I ride all the way to, you know, up to, through Seward. So like riding on the lake and being on the water is just like, that's so rejuvenating to me. But there's this place where you get to, I can't remember the street, but it's right under the 90. And maybe I'm just too crazy, maybe just too, I got to do something hard, but there are a set of stairs I climb that take me up to the top. Yeah. And so I have to carry my bike up there.
Wow.
So it's kind of like this, I don't know, some weird thing where I carry my bike up, and it's a great workout. But then the thing is that in order to get back down, I go on this windy Lake Washington Road. Okay. All descent, and it's so much fun. And I come down, hit the brake at the end of that, and I'm going like, man, that was awesome.
Okay, because I'm thinking, you know, you're carrying your bike up, how's that rejuvenating? But it sounds like once you get to the bottom, and you come your journey back, that's
all
where
that work.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, I think for me, you kind of hit the spot when you talked about Lake Washington Boulevard over at the lake. It's beautiful. Monday morning, I went out early, about 8 o'clock. The sun was beaming on the water, glistening waters. And that's pretty much where I like to go in this community. I get on my bike, and I start Columbia City. I'll ride down to Seward Park and take that stretch all the way down to Madison Park. I'll stop at the parks along the way, you know, Denny.
Yeah.
And then, so that's one of the favorite places for me. So for you at home who's watching, go ahead and in the chat box, just go ahead and tell us one of your special places.
Yeah, but I really want to encourage people this time that we're in. We need those kind of places where we can rest and kind of relax and get away from screens, get away
From the Zoom.
from Zoom meetings and all that stuff. It's so important, and I think if you give yourself that time, that's time well spent.
It
and
is.
So
Breathes life back into your soul.
So find those places and share those places if you want. Every week we want to feature a small business in the 98118. And so we're featuring this week Emerald City Fish and Chips and their story over there up on Rainier Boulevard, north of us here, where they've been working through this whole pandemic. But we've got a real cool clip about the story that Steve tells about the business. So when you're ready, Dr. Darrell.
I was raised in the central area. I've been down here on Rainier Avenue, not far from Franklin High School, for about 10 years now, doing the Emerald City Fish and Chips thing. The restaurant thing was kind of something that started with my grandmother. She always wanted to open a restaurant. That never came to fruition before she passed. I've always been an entrepreneur. I've had other businesses, but the food has been the most successful. Time we spent as a family was always based around food. So like just growing up with my grandmother, I helped her cook a lot. So I learned a lot of food recipes and how to cook from her. Pretty much what we do is a lot of her ideas. Like I said, I learned to cook from my grandmother. Every now and then. We do hire people that are not family, but when I do hire them, I let them know off top, look, this is a family environment and I want you to act like it. So it's like we all want to get along and grow together to be better people, basically. The city's growing. It's getting better, I feel, also, so I'm happy with it. I'm growing with the city, so it's a good thing for me, I feel like sometimes we don't get the help that we need. When I was starting my business, I had a business plan. I had a lot of different things that I thought would help me get loans and stuff like that, but I wasn't able to get a loan. I got money in the bank, I got good credit, I got all these good things going for me that I would think, but I'm still not able to get the loan that I would want to be able to take my business to the next level. When it comes to those type of things, our community is not being served in the correct way. As our city grows, that's something that we have to keep in mind, is trying to preserve the things that are worth preserving, especially when it comes to the community things, We have two tartars. So we have a more sweeter tartar. That is totally my grandmother's tartar sauce. That was how she used to make it. And then we have a more spicier tartar, which is mine, which I came up with. So my grandmother, she was a very strong woman, very strong woman. She was the matriarch of our family. She did not get to see me open a restaurant, but I know she smiles every day to see what I'm doing. I know she does, that's for sure. Every meal I serve is served with love, I'm trying to really make an impression on every single person, I want every person to really enjoy what we have. And for the most part, it's been that way.
That all that talk coming from Steve from the Emerald City Fish is pretty much making me hungry about now. I haven't eaten. Have you eaten yet?
No.
Okay.
I'm
Might be a
ready.
good place. Might be
I'm
to
ready.
stop by there afterwards.
I'm putting my order in.
Me too. All right, you guys, coming to us next is we have an interview. Phil and I sat down this week and we talked to Doc Wilson. He's going to talk to us about the importance of a mission, a very simple mission, he calls it, economic reform for Black people. So listen in as he shares. Dara, can you roll that tape, please? Will be talking to us about Peace Peloton, what he's doing, and what Peace Peloton is doing for the South in Seattle. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. Welcome, Doc. Glad that you're with us today.
Appreciate that.
Good. And Phil, it's good seeing you as well.
Good seeing you, Phyllis.
Okay. Well, we're not going to take a lot of your time today, Doc. We're just going to get straight into it.
All right.
Have you about 20, 25 minutes and just a lot of questions today.
All right. I'll do what I can.
Why don't you tell us who you are
Yes.
and what is your connection to the South End community?
Thank you both for having me. I really appreciate that. Again, my name is Doc Wilson. My driver's license, passport, and birth certificate say Reginald Wilson, but everybody calls me Doc. If you call me Reginald, I'm going to turn around and think my mom is standing next to me. So Doc is fine. Born and raised in Gary, Indiana. And I originally lived in the South End, my first iteration in Seattle from, let's see, 1989 until 1999. I was married, had 2 kids, got divorced and moved to DC. I traveled around a bit and I returned to DC. I returned to Seattle and let me see, you asked about my connection to the South End. So I'm an avid cyclist. I thoroughly enjoy cycling. Cycling is therapy for me. It's my exercise. Cycling is one of my muses. And when I returned to Seattle in 2014 from DC, I was looking for a group of cyclists to ride with, in particular, people of color. And with the citywide population at the time, I think it was 6.7% Black. That was difficult to find, but I was introduced to Cascade Bicycling Club. And when I started riding with that organization, I think they're a great organization for what they do, but they didn't represent people who look like me. And I'm going to use the word disconcerting because I can't think of another word, but I thought that better could be done to represent cycling in Black and brown communities. So I went out on my own and I started to identify people who look like me, who ride bicycles. And that's when I met Ed Ewing. Ed was introduced to me by another gentleman who I met through Cascade. Ed and I connected and started riding. We involved other people, and now we have this good collection of Black and brown people who ride together. We tend to ride on Sundays. It's just a casual ride until it's no longer casual. You get a bunch of competitive men together and somebody's gonna pull a little faster, so now it's a race. But the bonds that have been formed through that connection is exactly what I was looking for in a bicycling community and beyond. We support each other emotionally. I know that in our current society, it's a bit taboo to think about having an intimate relationship with other men without having this sexual connotation that comes along with it. But we have this really cool bond where we can open up with each other and connect on a level that was absent with the community that I was riding with Cascade or some of my other white friends, because they didn't know my story. They couldn't necessarily relate to my story and my cultural upbringings and how the things that contributed to me being the man that I am today. So fast forward to now, I guess 2 months ago, you asked me another question about, you asked me about Peace Peloton?
Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, can I ask you, You
Sorry.
said cycling is a muse for you. What is it about cycling that you love?
Oh man. So you all told me that you're gonna take 25 minutes, but now this is it might drag on a bit. I like I like the sound of the tires when it hits the pavement. It's soothing to me. I like the rhythm and the cadence of the turning of the pedals. That really feels good. I am inspired to create. I get into my head and I come up with these ideas and I repeat them over and over again. And when I get to where I'm, my first 20-mile stop or so, I write them down. And that's a part of that muse that I was talking about, because it doesn't really come together unless I'm on a bicycle. Now I can be sitting at a beach or somewhere and I get an inspiration, but something about being on a bicycle just really inspires me to delve deeper into my creative juices and come up with ideas on how I can continue to advance positive change for myself and the community around me.
That's awesome. Do you remember the first time, I'm pretty sure when you were a kid, you rode a bike when you were a kid?
Yeah.
When you were a kid. And then did time pass from that where you didn't ride a bike and eventually you found your way back to a bicycle?
Yes. I probably stopped riding a bike when I discovered girls at the age of like 14 or so. And that carried on through my, I was married. So probably I didn't really get on another bike until I was maybe 30.
Okay.
Yeah. And when I started riding bikes again, I didn't get right back into casual riding or road biking. I was a mountain biker.
You were a mountain biker.
I lived in Baltimore. I lived in the Washington, D.C. area. I lived in D.C., Baltimore, Virginia. If you're from that area, we all call it the DMV. Same, but different.
You've ridden, you mentioned earlier, I think you rode in Southeast Asia.
Yeah. That was, people ask me, whenever I tell that story, people ask me, oh, were you going through a midlife crisis? Did you want to explore the inner workings of your spirituality? And I was like, no, man, I just wanted to ride my bike. That's all I wanted to do. So I bought a one-way ticket to Ho Chi Minh City, and that was my plan. I didn't know where I was going to stay. I didn't have a route mapped out. I didn't speak the language. All I knew is I was going to stay there until I no longer wanted to stay there.
Wow.
And it was close to half a year.
Well, it looks like what we've been hearing about Peace Peloton, that you found your way from there to here. Tell us more about Peace Peloton, what you guys are doing, how it's connected to the South End, and how did Peace Peloton come about?
Yeah, so I mentioned a buddy of mine, a good friend of mine, Ed Ewing. He and I were we were being interviewed on the Ron and Don show. They have a podcast. They used to be on Cairo AM. But several years ago, we had a couple of interviews where we discussed the impossible conversation. And it was around the challenges people have in addressing disparities and inequities in the world. And so we did an interview on, I think it was June 3rd. It was a Wednesday. And we had an hour and we were still talking about this impossible conversation. And at the end, Ron asked me, hey, Doc, you got anything else you want to add before we left? And in like 30 seconds, I thought of the name Peace Peloton. I thought of the ride. I just said, oh, by the way, we're launching this organization called Peace Peloton, and we're going to start our ride at Alki, and we're going to ride to the Northwest African American Museum on Saturday. So tell all your friends, we're going to promote it, and it's going to be fun. That's how it started. There was no long strategic plan. It was, yeah, let's do it. And then after that interview, Ed was like, dude, what the hell are you doing? And it was so cool because we, at first, the mission was economic reform, criminal justice reform, healthcare reform, social justice reform, and those were just too much, right? Too much to focus on. I know that I really thoroughly enjoy and I'm passionate about cycling. And I'm a Black man. I've been a Black man for 52 years. And I'm also a business owner. So I knew that I had the depth and breadth of knowledge in entrepreneurship and being in 52 years of being a Black man. So we distilled that down into economic reform for Black people. We had an expectation that 30 people were going to show up. If we had 50, we were going to be over the moon. At last count, we had 357 people show up at our first ride. And, yeah, and from there, it started growing. I got emails from people saying, this is amazing, how can we support? And we organized and we filed our articles of incorporation with the state of Washington. We're in the process of filing or applying for our 501c3. We've got corporate sponsors who are sending us money. It is just really, it's changing the way that, it's changed my life. And from what I understand, the tone that I'm getting from individuals who participate in our events, it's changing their lives as well. It's giving them a tool by which they can examine their privilege, get direction on how to advance progressive and positive change, and to do more than nothing. I think that's what people are really looking for. They want to make a difference, but they don't really have the direction. And with Peace Peloton, well, let me share the premise of Peace Peloton. I'll show you the premise of the bike ride portion of Peace Peloton. We have several other different programs here we're rolling out. One is an apprenticeship program, one is an incubator program, one is an educational program. But for the bike ride portion, we identify Black-owned businesses in good standing with the Better Business Bureau, their community, and their chambers of commerce. We go and we speak to those businesses and we say, how can we partner to advance your business aims? And we work out the logistics, and then we bring customers to those businesses. So this is a demonstration in action. You know how a lot of the demonstrations going on are you'll throw a rock through a window or you'll protest or something like that, and then the cameras go away and you hear nothing else. We're actually creating access for business development for these organizations in real time. So we take 150 to 350, 400 cyclists to a business. Those participants relieve themselves of the money in their pocket in exchange for the goods and services provided by these organizations. That's economic reform. And then we work with those organizations after the event to find out how we can capture 25%, around 25% of sustainable business for those organizations, of that group that we brought to them, because it's just not feasible for us to bring 300 people to a restaurant every week. It's just not gonna happen. So we do that, and then we take the Peloton from that business throughout the city, and we strategically map routes that go through areas of historical Black significance. One of the routes we stopped at the Augusta Brown Children's Clinic, where Dr. Ben Danielson came out and he spoke to the crowd about the significance and how the Augusta Brown Children's Clinic was born pretty much out of the Black Panther Party movement from back in the 60s, right? People were moved, people wanted to become engaged, and they wanted to make a difference. And then from there, we took the route back to Columbia City, where we stopped at Island Soul and enjoyed some food from Theo and his crew. And so every other week, we pick a different business. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a coffee shop or a restaurant. It could be a hair salon, where we can go and stop at a hair salon and have the business owners come out and speak about tell the group their story of how, you know, they came to be where they are. We just want people to be inspired, and we want to encourage people to do more than nothing, to go beyond that space, to challenge the parameters of what they think is impossible and expand that. That make good sense?
Yeah, I love the phrase demonstration in action.
Yeah, yeah.
If I got that right, yeah, and the idea of kind of being on the move as well, you know, and being active, and I think all those things are, you know, getting people out and about and seeing the city are all great markers. I just love those.
And when you see 300 bicyclists riding down your street, you're going to become very curious, right? And so we started to put together, we print out these bike bibs that they have our logo on the front, Peace Peloton, and that drives people to our website. And then I get more curiosity, and then people want to get involved, and then this grows into something bigger. So we're going to continue that movement. Right now, most of the Black businesses in this city are down in the South End. So we concentrate a lot of our efforts kind of south of the Montlake Cut, but on Saturday, we're going to Green Lake. We want to invite people, and this is another thing that, again, I don't want to speak ill of Cascade, because they're an amazing partner of ours and they support us. But when I went on riots with Cascade, I didn't feel like there was an invitation, right? I didn't feel like they were saying, hey, come on over here, everybody's welcome, Doc, come and join us. I never felt that. With Peace Peloton, I make it my business when people pull up to our events, hey, how you doing? I'm Doc. All 200, all 300, I'm going to make it my business to speak to them and say, thank you for coming. You are welcome to be here. Let me know if I can support you any way. And it's a lot of work to do that one-on-one sort of interaction, but people feel better when you share that personal touch. It's like the difference between you getting this shitty email from somebody that says, hey, I saw that you were so awesome, and they don't know anything about you. It's this canned email that they send to everybody, as opposed to just taking the extra time to make it a personal message and make people feel welcome. So one of the things that I really wanted to inject into Peace Peloton's DNA was that inviting feeling. I wanted to extend an invitation to everyone.
You know, one of the things we do at Southend Connect is that sense of building community. And it sounds like a community on wheels, if you will, that you guys are celebrating and also living at the same time. So
yeah, bicycles are disarming. I mean, you don't really see vigilantes riding down the street on bicycles. When you think of bicycles, you think of either the high-end Tour de France type of folks, or the weekend family riding around Green Lake with the kids and the little carrier in the back. There's no intimidation about cycling. It's just this welcoming, warm tool that we're going to continue to use to bring communities together.
Yeah, I think it's a really great idea. I mean, I keep hearing things about Peace Peloton, and I spoke with you maybe 2 weeks ago, and a little bit about your story. So I thought it was really great to let other people who don't know of you yet or know of Peace Peloton, to give them this outlet to understand a little bit more. I understand that you ride every other week. I think you said like every other weekend. And so this weekend,
the ride programming is every other week, every other Saturday.
Every other Saturday. So now when you get in touch with business owners, what is the reaction that you're getting? Like for the first time, let's say when you wanted to go over to, we'll say Island Soul. How is contact made?
I pick up the phone and call. I don't send emails, or I just walk up and knock on the door. Sometimes I'll ask our community, who do you know? Because I'd rather have that warm invitation than just going up, because people aren't, if I tell people we're going to bring 300 cyclists, they're going to be skeptical, right? Right. But if they hear it from somebody, we recruit all of our business partners to be recruiters. Right. So we'll go, like we went to FATS, and then Erica, who owns FATS, told one of her friends who owns a food truck, I'm sure they did the background check, like, is this guy really going to bring us 300 cyclists? And she says, yeah, he's the real deal. And they showed up. So we make, I make direct contact with people. I get them on the phone. And if they do believe you and you tell them you're going to bring them 300 people, of course they're going to say yes. But we also want to make sure that they have the capacity to handle that large number of customers coming in all at once, right? Some of these small mom and pop shops, they may get 300 people during COVID, they may get 300 people in a month, and we're bringing them 300 people in 2 hours. So I go and I check out the logistics. I make sure there's room enough for us to stage. I ride through the neighborhood in the daytime and in the nighttime to see what's going on. Make sure I talk to a couple of neighbors if they're standing outside and ask them how they feel about what's going on. we partner with one of the people in our group is an urban planner, and she knows all of the greens, Seattle greenways, and the stay safe streets or stay healthy streets.
Stay healthy street, greenway. You're talking my neighborhood now. Okay.
Yeah. So we coordinate the routes around, that sort of dynamic.
Okay. All right. So what are you hoping to see for the South End in the future?
Access. One of the things that differentiates that financially successful Wall Street banker from the mom and pop shop is access to finances, resources, education. We want to be able to provide access to these individuals so that they have the opportunities to elevate their businesses. And right now, there are a lot of barriers in place so that businesses can't get loans from banks. We want to be able to provide, I talked about an apprenticeship program that we're developing the curriculum for. We want to be able to bring John or Mary Doe into our apprenticeship program and run them through the curriculum, right? You start in, I don't know what the order is going to be. You start in the finance, and then you move to the business development part. Then you move to the marketing part. And the last leg would be you sit with you shadow one of our business partners, Ezel's Chicken, or one of our other business partners for however long, and you figure out how to run their business. And then Peace Peloton on the back end hands you a check for seed money. Like, okay, here you go. You want to start your business? Here's a $5,000 no interest loan. All you do is pay this back to us because we need that money to come back so that we can help other people. So that's one of the programs that we're looking to start. We just want to give people access. We want to give people choice.
So it looks like there's more. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to stop. Go ahead.
I was just talking about access. If you're not going to advance, I don't want it to be because there are barriers in place to keep you from advancing. It should be a choice. Like, I don't want to own a business. That's fair to me. Like, I don't want to go to college. That's fair to me. But if you want to do something and there are barriers, there are artificial barriers put into place that say, you can't do this because your skin color is darker than the skin color of the preferred person that we're going to give this access to, I'm not going to stand for that. If I can do something to change that, I will. And that's what Peace Peloton is about. It's pretty much about creating and providing access.
Access, economic reform, demonstration, as you say, demonstration and action. I look like there's a lot going on with Peace Peloton. So if anyone would want to know more, or someone who would want to tune into your next ride or be a part of Peace Peloton, can you tell us how they can connect with you?
You can go to peacepeloton.com, and our website is under development. And right now it's pretty much an extensive flyer, but we wanted to have a dedicated website where people could come and find out what things are about. So right now it's good enough that you can find out how to volunteer, you can give, you can get to me directly. There's a email address on there, info@Peace Peloton, where you can write to me directly and my team. And if you're really committed to making a change and participating, we have a place for you.
Okay, I think your voice went out a little bit, so I just want to make sure we got this. Your website is peacepeloton.org or peacepeloton.com?
It's peacepeloton.com.
Okay, so that could be reached at peacepeloton.com.
Right.
There's donations. There's ways that you can actually just check them out on the website and you'll be able to connect with them. Okay, Doc, I got one more question for you.
Yes.
Before I move on, Phil, do you have any other question for me before I get to the last question?
No, go ahead.
Is there anything that you'd like to say to the people that are watching? Anything that we left out that you want to make sure that you mention before we close out?
Yeah, I keep telling people to do more than nothing. That's what I want to leave with people. If you really want to make a difference, there are so many organizations out there doing really good. I mean, if you want to join Peace Peloton, we welcome you. I'm just saying, the more you sit and contemplate where you want to go and where you want to be and what you want to do, you're not doing anything to advance any aims. So do more than nothing. Engage with an organization, get a feel for what they're doing, determine whether or not your superpowers are going to be used to their fullest effectiveness, and then you can change. If that organization doesn't work, move to another one, but continue to do what it is necessary to advance positive change for all people. Do more than nothing.
So I like that, do more or do more than do nothing.
More than nothing.
Join an organization, find an organization.
To do nothing, what you have to do is open your eyes and lay there.
Yeah, because there's plenty of things to do. Well, you know, I haven't had the opportunity to ride with you yet. I know we've talked a few times, but I understand that you have this next one at Greenway, so I'm gonna, at Green Lake.
Yes.
So join you guys on this next one, but there's another question, one more thing. I know with COVID out, with the pandemic going on, some people are skeptical. 250 people riding 300. So tell me a little bit about what are you doing, or what is the group doing for precaution against COVID while you're riding in this large group?
You know, it's interesting you ask that. And when I reach out to business partners, they ask me the same thing. And I talk to my team, and I can get frustrated with my team. Like, why are they asking me? Don't they read the CDC reports just like me? So the truth is, if you go outside, according to the CDC, if you go outside and you're among other people, you are taking a risk. The CDC says, stay home, stay in your apartment, do not leave, do not do anything. That is the guidance that I understand the CDC says. What we do is we mark off 6 feet, 6 feet markers from our volunteer booth so that people will stay 6 feet apart. We require people wear a mask when they come up to the booth. We have masks that they can wear. We have gloves that we wear. Our volunteer staff, when they're touching your money, they grab the money and they put it in the tray, and then we sanitize that. When we're speaking, we have 2 microphones, one microphone for me and one microphone for our speakers. When we use the megaphone, every time I use the megaphone and pass it to somebody else, one of our volunteers wipes it off, and then they move forward from there. We do what we can to give guidance to our riders to stay 2 bike lengths apart on our rides. We maintain proper public health safety protocols in accordance with the CDC and state government. That's it. So we don't require anyone to come, and those people who are, we've got a speaker. Here's an example. We've got a speaker who's going to speak at our event this Saturday, Elmer Dixon. He's the co-founder of the Seattle chapter of the Black Panther Party. His family situation involves a vulnerable person. So he's choosing not to be in those crowds, but he wants to participate. So what we're doing is we're going to do a live audio feed where he can speak to the crowd through our PA system without having to be there. He's going to be at his home somewhere. So if you want to participate, you do not have to be at our events. You don't have to be a cyclist. You can provide your superpowers, your expertise in the volunteer capacity. We have tons and tons of stuff that we need to do. You can give. All of our staff is volunteer, right? And so they all have full-time jobs, so they can't dedicate all of their time to this. But one of the things that I'm looking to do is to focus on our major donor contributions so that we can begin to pay our staff. But as far as public health protocols, we live in a state that, for the most part, or at least the city, for the most part, people pay attention to the science. So they're going to use common sense when they're around other people. I hope that long, drawn-out answer answered your question.
All right. Thank you, Doc. Thanks for being here. Thanks for letting us know what Peace Peloton is all about. And I look forward to riding with you guys. Hopefully on the flag, seeing what seeing it in person. I keep hearing all these great things, But now it'd be great, not only after talking with you, but to ride in person. So I think that's going to do it. Tell all your friends that you're going to be on Southend Connect. It's going to be featured on this Thursday night. We'll send you some more information. Just let them know that you're going to be talking about Peace Peloton.
Yeah, so we'll be putting this on our Facebook pages and pushing it out on social media. But thank you so much, Doc. I've really learned a lot listening, and it's inspiring seeing how you've taken something like two wheels and been incredibly creative with it. So, so turning it around and folding in all these different things like economic reform and, it's amazing. It's so creative. So happy and safe writing to you as you continue coming up with these things with your muse.
Yeah. And on that note too, when we talk about bicycling, bicycling means so much to different people. It's more than just getting on a bike and riding. Here we have economic reform, we have social justice, and it just continues on. So I think it's great that you're bringing this part out, that, you can be resilient riding a bicycle, and it leads to so many different things. So again, thanks a lot, Doc. I appreciate it. All right, take care. Bye-bye. Now you've heard it from Peace Peloton Doc Wilson. You can join him this upcoming Saturday, August 22nd. The ride will start at about 12:15, but he will meet up for the gathering at 10 o'clock. The meeting starts at Cafe Solil. Cafe Solil. You can get that information at peacepeloton.com. All right, Phil, what we got going on?
Well, hey.
Oh, yeah.
First ever costume change. We've got the Stay Safe and the 98118.
Yes.
So like any kind of like swag that's got 98118 is going to be pretty awesome. But like this is going to be a symbol of us coming through the pandemic together in the future. So I know these will be really popular. But I want to invite David to come up, talk about, just switch places, come up and talk about kind of what you're thinking as you're facing the challenges that so many small businesses are facing. So come on up, David.
All right. How much as I try to knock everything over. Thank you very much, Phil.
Yeah.
So,
Oh no.
yeah, thank you.
I didn't know.
Thank you very much. Hey, Phyllis, don't
stay
leave me
there.
all alone.
Oh, sure. I'll come back. No problem.
So as you can see, we're actually seeing how the sizes fit. Phil was sporting a large size, and Phyllis is here in a medium-sized T-shirt, and I'm fitting into an XL. We're still waiting for the double XLs and the triple XLs to show up. But as you can see, my monster is suffering from the COVID-19 little weight gain there, putting on the 19 pounds that he needs to kind of slim down on. But the important thing is our monster is wearing his mask. And so it's been really amazing, the response to the T-shirt campaign, the Stay Safe and the 98118, this remarkable artwork that was created by Nick Gucker, is that we were able to, we've actually nearly sold out our initial order, and we're back ordered on the smalls and on the double XLs and the triple XLs that I just already stated. But we have been amazed that within the first 2 weeks of doing this campaign, we have sold nearly 500 T-shirts. So thank you. Really appreciate that support. One of the things that we are dealing with that has been a result of the pandemic was facing the fact that movie theaters and other live event venues, bars, clubs, places that we like to go out to get away from at night, we're all in that same metaphorical boat, so to speak, to say that we're all going to have to ride out this pandemic. And the challenge that is thrown onto us is that the building owners have been forced into a position that for them is that they have to put the building up for sale. We're going to try to make the most of it to be positive in it. The reality of the situation is that in order for us to survive it, we're just going to have to go ahead and, in addition to the T-shirt sales, is come up with a GoFundMe campaign. And we're going to make the best of what is considered a bad situation, because we're all trying to do what we can to get through the pandemic. Right. And that opportunity that we think we're going to take at this time is really take this moment to raise some of the money that we need to stabilize either continuing to ownership of the building, finding someone who maybe wants to buy the building that believes in it continuing as a movie theater and continuing our lease, but also to, while we're closed in this time, as we stay in phase 2, as people may know, we can't reopen theaters until we get to phase 3. So what I'm coming back around to is that we are going to have to do a fundraiser and take that opportunity while we are closed to raise some of the funds to really get this neighborhood movie house up to more of a higher standard that we've always wanted it to have. One of the things that we've dealt with in this nearly century-old building that wasn't built as a movie theater but has a Masonic Ark Lodge is that there is no lift to get up to the second floor, so not all of our friends and neighbors can get up there that need assistance getting up there. So that's definitely one of the things we're going for. We'd like to make improvements to our HVAC system to help augment the things that we need to do to keep the place to kill any airborne viruses, make the place safe and secure. When it first came to the challenge of reopening this theater back before when it had been closed, was to actually put in the sprinkler systems and that is something that we were really proud of, that we were able to accomplish and get the theater back up and running and open to the community. And we really want to just really get the amenities better, make the place more comfortable, put in new seats, improve our digital sound systems. So we're going to reach out to you and say, hey, while we're staying safe here in the 98118, we want to come back to the days when we could all go out and have a fun night out at the movies. And one of the things we want to do is put in new seatings. And I think I'm going to hand it back over to you, Phyllis, and see if you have,
Sure.
I think you look great in that t-shirt there.
I was matching up with the mask.
Yes, you were.
Sure. Well, Dave, thank you for being here
And thank you very
reaching
much.
out to everybody. So you guys heard it from Dave himself. I hope that you will adhere and just do the best that we can to help keep Columbia City's theater here in town.
Music, live events, we want to have that all here, be part of that community, be part of what is the 98118 and the
That's awesome.
great community that we got here.
You're right. All right, everyone, you've heard from Dave, you've heard from Peace Peloton, Doc Wilson, you've heard from Phil, and you've heard from me. We're going to go ahead and get ready to close it out tonight, but I want to say thank you. And for those who joined in directly at 7, we did have some technical difficulties, so if you couldn't get us then, we do apologize for that. But until the next 2 weeks, thank you, good night, and be safe.